There's this one viral video of her from the town, which, was like 15 years ago. But her Boston accent is so bad, and she's supposed to be playing a drug addict, and it's like everyone has clipped it, and it's gone wild. Where she's like, "You're the Crime Stopper. Why don't you go figure it out?" Like, it's so bad.
What happened?
You're a Crime Stopper. Figure it the fuck out.
That line didn't just go viral because of the accent. It went viral because people sensed something was off, something unspoken. And now, 14 years later, that unspoken thing has a name. An affair rumor that just crawled out of the grave Hollywood buried it in. Jennifer Garner has been silent for over a decade. But today, the truth isn't waiting for her to speak. It's coming through a podcast clip, a forgotten movie set, and a marriage that was already bleeding behind the curtain. This is the story of how Blake Lively's worst career meltdown accidentally confirmed what Garner always knew. Ben Affleck cheated with Blake Lively. Imagine a split screen. On one side, a dim Boston bar in 2010. Ben Affleck, chiseled and intense, shooting a scene with a 23-year-old Blake Lively. She leans in, her eyes doing that dangerous thing that isn't in the script. On the other side of the screen, a quiet house in Los Angeles. Jennifer Garner, pregnant with their third child, scrolling through news alerts while her husband is a continent away, building on-screen chemistry that may have spilled far off it. That image isn't just poetic drama, it's the emotional anchor of a scandal millions of fans are now reconstructing frame by frame, whisper by whisper. Before we go any further, smash that subscribe button for the CelebTea Files. We don't just cover the drama, we expose what the headlines are hiding. And this one was buried so deep it took a courtroom catastrophe to unearth it. So how did a dusty set rumor become a full-blown expose in 2026? To answer that, you have to understand the marriage that was being quietly dismantled while the cameras rolled. Ben and Jen were the safe reboot. After Ben Affleck 1.0 imploded, he found Garner, grounded, girl next door, the kind of woman who could stabilize him. They married in 2005, had 2 daughters fast, and by 2010 she was carrying their third. Publicly, they were the fortress. Privately, Affleck was directing The Town, a gritty crime drama that demanded long hours, high adrenaline, and a very close working relationship with his young co-star. Now, here's the thing about The Town set. Crew members have whispered for years that Affleck and Lively were inseparable off camera. At the time, gossip blogs posted blind items. Some said an A-list director was hooking up with his barely legal castmate while his wife was expecting. Nothing was confirmed. Garner visited the set, smiled for photos, and went home. The rumor went dormant, but it never died. It just waited. And trust me, the next part takes this from whisper to air horn. Fast forward to 2026. Blake Lively's legal war with Justin Baldoni has imploded spectacularly. We covered the gory details on this channel. The judge gutted 10 of her 13 claims.
Judge grants 10 of 13 of that, basically guts her case. In that order, he lays out, in my opinion, all of the missteps by her lawyers. Makes it, if I'm the lawyer who's defending her, I'm not going to like that order. And on the heels of that, they call up immediately, if you believe what's being reported, they call up Brian Friedman, who's representing Baldoni, and say, we need to get into private mediation immediately. Now you'd say, well, what significance does that have? There's a California Supreme Court case that says if you settle your case at a private mediation, the lawyers cannot get sued for malpractice. And I think that's what was behind it. The lawyers brought in another law firm. They get to private mediation. They have the best mediator on the planet doing the mediation, and they get insulated from a malpractice suit. And it was not an insignificant amount of money. If you believe the reports, she spent upwards of 30 or 40 million.
Her legal fees reportedly hit $30 to $40 million, and the Streisand effect has been renamed the Lively effect in legal circles.
We were having the argument the other day, what's worse, Barbara Streisand, Amber Heard, or Blake Lively? I mean, if you're going to rank them, the Streisand effect, I think now is the Lively effect.
She sued to silence criticism and ended up strapping a megaphone to it. But amidst all that legal wreckage, a podcast conversation suddenly veered into very different territory. The hosts were mocking her acting in The Town, that same bar scene, laughing about how bad it was. And then one of them just dropped it.
She looked good. There's rumors that she had an affair with Ben Affleck during that time when he was with Jennifer Garner, and She was kind of miscast in that, like her look and everything and her age. But I do think she can be a good actress when she's put in a part that's believable for her.
No warning, no drama. Just, there's rumors that she had an affair with Ben Affleck during that time when he was with Jennifer Garner. Boom! Not a question, a statement of fact, delivered like a piece of accepted Hollywood lore. And that, right there, is the expose Jennifer Garner never had to give herself. The universe handed it to her in the middle of a conversation about something else entirely. Now you, being the savvy viewer you are, already see through the glossy magazine covers. You know that the perfect couples sold to us often have the messiest backrooms. This moment isn't just about old tea. It's about a pattern that keeps repeating in this industry. And I'm going to lay out exactly why this matters now more than ever. Here's where the irony becomes almost unbearable. Lively spent millions trying to control her narrative. She hired a second law firm. She rushed into private mediation, which legal experts believe was partly to insulate her lawyers from malpractice suits. She had off-ramps galore.
I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, of course, it's let's rile them up. Let's make a bigger deal out of it. And especially now, I mean, things are over in not even 96 hours, like 48 hours. But certainly in their case, you wouldn't even have to go away for 6 months. Just go away for like 3 weeks. Like, just go on a vacation, put your phone away, don't look at it, and
Do you know
would have
who's
been
really
fine.
a master? The guy who has, whether you love him or hate him, Donald Trump understands that in a way that nobody understands. He doesn't, whatever he does, he knows all he's got to do is troll something else or create another controversy. And the last one is already yesterday's news in a matter
The podcast hosts were baffled. She could have declared a small victory early and vanished. Instead, she let ego drive her straight off a cliff.
Became known as the Streisand effect. For years, I would tell clients when they come in and want to sue, I'd say, this is the dumbest thing in the world. Just put your head down for 96 hours. Somebody else is going to do something more stupid and they'll forget about you. But no, if you've got a big firm and you've got to generate billings, you'll take the client, you'll tell the client, you'll whip them up. It's kind of the family law RICO action, where the lawyers in family law heat up both sides. They take all the liquidity out of the community.
And the debris from that crash, it landed right on the one story she probably hoped would never resurface. Now everyone is rewatching The Town with new eyes. Every glance between her and Affleck, every lingering touch. The digital detectives are out and they're not missing a frame.
People, it is fascinating to me how small they really are, how petty and just 8th grade dumb they really come off. And my thought is somebody finally got to her and said, you're getting killed read the comments section. You were getting killed in this. It only gets worse from here. Your husband is starting to suffer. His reputation is starting to take a hit. And as well, everybody that signed up with them, even Taylor Swift was getting some grief for a little while.
But here's the moral gut punch. The true victim in this isn't the one fighting a losing lawsuit. It's the woman who held the family together while her husband's alleged betrayal became an open secret. Imagine being Jennifer Garner. You're at home with 2 toddlers and a baby on the way. You're the face of wholesome motherhood. Meanwhile, your husband is in a different city playing a hyper-masculine criminal, and his leading lady, he can barely do a Boston accent, is allegedly doing more than rehearsing. You find out, or you suspect, and you swallow it. For the kids, for the brand, for the sake of not becoming a tabloid circus. And you stay silent for 14 years while he cycles through a nanny scandal, a Ben Affleck redo, and a very public divorce from J-Lo. You just keep being classy. And then one day, a random podcast in the middle of someone else's legal apocalypse just casually confirms what you knew all along. The truth didn't come from your lips. It didn't need to. The truth waited 14 years. And what nobody seems to be asking is how many more secrets are hiding in plain sight on Hollywood film sets? Is this a one-time slip, or is it just the most visible example of a systemic sickness where power, proximity, and production schedules create a playground for betrayal? Because look at the pattern with Affleck. Co-star bonds, rumored or confirmed, have been a recurring theme in his life. The intensity of filming becomes the excuse. The lines between acting and reality blur, and the wives are left to either pretend they don't see or to lawyer up silently. That ticking clock isn't just about this one scandal. It's about an industry that protects the men and buries the women who get hurt, until one day the burial fails. Now, you might be thinking, did Garner actually say anything? Is there a tearful interview, a shady post? No. And that's the brilliance of how exposure works in 2026. Sometimes it's not a press release. Sometimes it's a million people connecting the same dots at the same time. The podcast clip didn't create the wrong. It just stamped it with a sudden, undeniable legitimacy. Social media is now flooded with comments from fans saying, "We always knew. Poor Jen. Ben's pattern is undeniable." That's social proof on steroids. You are not just hearing a story. You are part of a wave that is finally calling out what was long whispered.
But what makes this genuinely outrageous isn't just the cheating allegation, it's the imbalance. Affleck's career chugged along. He won Oscars, played Batman, married his ex-fiancée. Lively, despite her legal debacle, is still getting red carpet moments and Deadpool cameos. And Garner, she just raised the kids. She became the reliable parent while the world swooned over her ex's rekindled romance. There's a moral injustice there that sits in the viewer's stomach like a stone. She did everything right, and still the truth took over a decade to surface while the other players got to write the narrative. And if you think that's the worst of it, wait until you see how the Lively effect is accelerating. The same legal blunder that exposed her reputation to global mockery has now opened the door for every old rumor to be re-examined. The dam is cracking. Blind items from 2010 are getting fresh traction. Set insiders are being contacted by journalists. The unreleased behind-the-scenes footage from The Town might be worth more than the movie itself. This isn't just a rumor gaining momentum. It's a reputational avalanche for everyone involved. The truth waited 14 years. That phrase is going to echo in your head as you rewatch the clips, read the depositions, and see how the dominoes keep falling. Because here's the uncomfortable reframe. What if this affair rumor is just the first piece of a much larger puzzle? What if Lively's scorched earth legal strategy was never about Baldoni at all, but about a desperate attempt to bury a past that was inching closer to the surface? And what if Garner, in her quiet dignity, has been waiting for this moment without ever having to lift a finger? So now I'm turning this over to you. Do you believe Jennifer Garner knew all along and chose to protect her family's image? Or was she blindsided like the rest of the world when the podcast clip dropped? Drop your opinion in the comments. I read every single one, and this is a conversation that needs to happen. If this deep dive gave you that satisfying rush of real, unfiltered tea, hit that like button, share it with someone who still thinks Hollywood fairy tales are real, and subscribe to the CelebTea Files with notifications on. Because the biggest scandals are never the ones the headlines hand you. They're the ones we uncover right here. The truth waited 14 years. You just got it first.